Oh, I have to wait for you to connect the sound.
Hola.
Hello. Well, looks nice.
Hey, check, check tell me about the sound because might be it's okay for you to sound.
The connection is really slow.
Hello. Hello.
Connection is
Yeah.
slow.
Like it seems to me that my connection is good. It seems my Wi-Fi is okay. Now, now
Oh, I
it's
don't
better.
see you. It's like 2 frames per second.
Still now, still it's slow. Can you hear me?
I can hear you much better, but the video
Okay.
now video is off, and when video is there, it was very slow.
I just changed now because I just changed to my data.
Okay.
Well, I was using the Wi-Fi and I'm using my data. Is that better?
Doesn't change much.
Okay, I will just do the audio then.
Yeah.
Good. But
It's too nice to be in the camera.
yeah,
Wow.
okay, right. Yeah. Is it like this? All right, so
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yes. Now it's good.
Good. So hello.
Hello. Should we?
I guess
Yeah.
this is chat, I think. I would like to talk about the chat. We talk about details like more backstage things in another
Yeah. Later.
later. Okay. So hello now. So
I hope you're having nice vacation.
yes, so I'm in Greece. I'm having a very good vacation. I was trying to detox from my phone, so that feels
Right.
good.
Nice.
Not use it for like, I felt good. I guess you did something similar in Austria, right?
Yeah, I was away for 1 or 2 days. And the first day, like I was trying to use like only like paper and pen to make something, which is kind of
Literally.
interesting.
Yeah.
But I didn't use the phone for like a few days. Like I came back to the computer, but yeah, like one day I was not using my computer or phone at all, which was good.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels great. I mean, to be honest, it felt good. Like at some point, I thought would be more drastic. You know, like I'm not gonna use it at all. But then I
Hmm.
need to use my phone. You know, I need to use my GPS and stuff
Yeah,
like so just not the email and the social media and not emails. I mean, I check my email still because I'm waiting for Florian's answer. So then I could see if there is something I need
yeah,
to react right away.
yeah. That's
But
life.
yeah, you cannot. That's life.
Exactly.
Okay. Hey, but so this paper was. So tell me, maybe you can introduce us for the people here in the chat. Hello, people. Lately, like you saw, our last video have more than it has many views for what we're used to
Yeah. Why is
and
it? Did you
comments.
share it? Oh, yeah. There was a
I
comment.
put it.
Yeah,
I put it in my Instagram feed. I think yeah,
I see.
and in my social media.
Right.
And it was a
Last
comment,
one
and
was a comment, 23 views, which is a bit more than the ones we had before.
yeah, sometimes we have four, two, your grandma, my grandma.
Exactly.
So yes, but so maybe you can introduce us the video, like the video,
The the
this paper.
the paper, yeah.
So
So
yes,
basically, Nuno sent me this paper that he wrote. Um, it's
Maybe who is Nuno? Who is Nuno? Because I don't know Nuno.
he's running this he was running this how do you say, it's not organization, but it's more like a, let's say, a project called Moving Digits, and that was like funded for 1 or 2 years, I think, or maybe more, by EU, some kind of funding from EU. And basically the idea is to connect like a few different places around Europe, including where I work right now, HSD, the University of Applied Science in Düsseldorf. And he was back then based in like a school in the UK, I think. There are other few organizations involved and basically connect dancers, choreographers, and people working in technology to create digital, how to say, like a dance tech pieces. And this
Okay.
specific paper was
Yes.
about evaluating some of those pieces that they made in that frame.
So which basically is coming back to the last when we have this talk with Uli, which is an astrophysics, and we were into this topic, right? Like the quantization, or
Right. Yeah,
like
yeah, exactly.
measurement, how the effectiveness of how art is how to measure effectiveness of art in the in culture in daily life basically,
Yeah.
and analyze risks.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the risk is, but well, maybe we can analyze the risk. Yeah, so basically this paper, like part of the paper is, I mean, the objective of the paper is the evaluation because it's in the scientific conference called TEI. What is called Tangible, Embedded, and Embodied Interaction.
You see, so
And
that's actually is what the last time. Sorry to interrupt
yeah,
you. Like that's what Uli she was talking the last time, and she was sharing with us is uh, the struggle that she feels that when uh, she's in the position of like yeah to measure the yeah she used this word tangible. That's what I'm trying to say. That
okay.
how yes.
Yeah, I think the conference, the reason why they say tangible is actually they work with like tangible interfaces, like not just like creating software, but it has to, you know, be in real life. Wow, it's kind of absurd to say it that way, but like for example, if you make a new kind of how do you say, like interface, like controller, or you know, that kind of thing is what they call like tangible. But in this
But you
research, it is tangible because anyway, it's a physical um, dance pieces.
so you mean tangible in the sense that it's not only a software, but it's something that is a hardware also. It's something that it becomes physical, right?
Right, like how hardware, like implemented with the hardware, let's say.
An interface, okay, a software that it has an interface.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And
And what I didn't understand that I'm interested in, like in regards to who is Nuno, is that how is he connected with dance? Is he what you know in short like his background is? Which
I
field is
have
he coming?
no idea. I only met him once, actually, during this interview of the paper. So I am involved somehow.
How how did you met him? So he contacted you?
No, okay. So the thing is, I worked for, wait. So this research was in 2019, like around October when they performed. And the same year, like earlier, I was helping Choi Ka-fai, who is who is also involved in this moving digit project. And but not
And
like I was not directly involved in that frame of moving digits, but I was helping Choi Ka-fai earlier that year. And also the theater where he performed was the Tanzhaus NRW, like NRW. And this Tanzhaus NRW is also part of moving digits. So it's like I was not directly involved, but I was kind of already in the the same crowd. And later I learned that there's going to be like a showing. So I didn't know that about the interview. I just went to see the showing. And then it turned out that they do like this scientific study. So yeah, I volunteered to take the interview.
And is this like is like German based or is like or in an European level?
It's European, but quite a lot of well, not really a lot of organizations involved from Germany. I think it's just the school and Tanzhaus.
Okay, interesting. All right. So maybe
Yeah,
now we can just dig into the juice.
yeah,
Thank you,
and just to
Naoto.
add, well, and just to add, like because we've been talking about this project because the funding is already ended, but they want to apply again to like have the second phase of the project. So
Moving
that
for
would be. Hmm?
the moving digits project.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not going to be the
Okay.
same, but they are like with the same people, they're trying to do it again. So that's why, like, I'm kind of slowly involved in this discussion and to see like
Interesting.
what I can help or
Super.
participate.
I think I think it's super interesting and I think it's very relevant. Like I mean, when I was reading the paper, now Otto proposes me to. I mean, you send me the PDF, like the PDF, and it's a
Right.
long paper, so I didn't read it all. But then
Me
just you
neither.
mentioning and so you mentioned like the 4.3, the interviews, I think,
Right.
were and were you part of these interviews?
Yes, so one of them is me. And just to add a bit more context, there were four pieces performed at
Ah, yeah.
the Tanzhaus, and they're quite short, I think, like, I don't know, like 10 to 15 minutes or something per piece. And also, like, they only had like a few days of like creation with the technology. Like, most of them involve like using sensors and stuff, cameras, visualization. But unfortunately, they didn't have much time for the creation, so they're quite like, let's say, underdeveloped. It's not like a final
Like,
piece that it's
yeah.
more like a, yeah, like how do you say it, work in progress kind of
There's
works.
something, maybe something that I can say in that regards. It's so funny to see that because I mean, like the said, like the technical deployment of a dance piece is so undermined that say light design, the light testing, sound testing,
Yeah.
ethnography, all these things, they are so undermined. For instance, when I work with melting pot, I have sometimes 1 hour. So
Oh,
it's like so undermined that it's like in a way it's like given that it has to work because at the end it works. Like people cannot
yeah.
really see the effects because at the end are props is technology at the service of dance.
Right.
So our props they makes the dance look better, but the dance for itself should be nice. So what I'm saying here is that the deployment time of the technical team in a dance piece is really undermined, and it's just
Mm.
it since normally will come from the choreographers or theater makers. People don't really have in consideration that the researching time, I mean, the deployment time in the technical research, it is also, how to say this in short, like I think choreographers or theater makers, they don't consider what I think is at this point, I think
Mhm.
that the deployment in a dance piece uh, of technology, it's a research, it's a working process. Something is
Yeah.
not perfect, as you know. It's
Yeah.
always gonna is developments. Is yes, that's what I'm saying. Like deployment of technology in a dance piece is still development time. You see what I mean?
Right. Yeah, yeah. And then what you
Yeah.
mentioned is not even like interactive. Like,
Mm, yes, yes. Please, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so like, how to say it? Like, it's, kind of, in a way, it's independent of from that. dance. I mean, it is connected, but like it's not like, using sensors and stuff. That's even more,
No,
that needs more
exactly.
time, basically.
Absolutely. Because and the way how I presented it, exactly my idea is more in a classical way. When choreographers wants to use technology, that's
Right.
what it happens.
Yeah.
But if you put it that in top of that, you're trying to make a synergy between technology and dance, then it just becomes a completely, the deployment time is completely different.
Yeah. Right. Well, in another way, like in other sense, like if they spend more time, like not with the, like even with, lighting and like not like really interactive things, they could do something more than what they have. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, can you
like
say
if,
it
if
again?
they invest more time in like actual like development, like creation with, like lights and sound, and that's not like even like interactive things, like because in the
No,
paper or the context we're talking about is dance tech, but let's say like dance
there's a
and yeah.
it's functional. Yeah, that's what I will call is that's what I mentioned at the beginning in what I said. I mentioned as props. Those are props. Light
Mm,
as prop, mapping, video mapping as prop. Like something that is like a scenography, basically.
yeah.
It's a stage design. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so where are we now? And so let's go back to the paper maybe.
Yeah, the paper. Yeah.
um what was that? So there were two things actually. Like one is the interview, and another one is the questionnaire. So everyone watching the piece, it was free, I think, but we had to like fill in the questionnaire, And these questions are like I forgot. Well, it's in the paper. I forgot most of them, but basically it's about like how much like connection you felt about the visuals or yeah, sound with regard to the movement.
Right.
So it's very like, something, it's not like you liked or not, but it's more measurable in a sense.
Hmm.
Which
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a valid question or not, but I think scientifically it's something, you can quantify in a way. It's,
But
it's
it's
still like
but it's
psychological.
yeah, but it's a bit weird because if I think in seats,
Mm.
then at the end we have this questionnaire that Peter and Angelo they fill for their own PhD research,
Ah,
and in both they are focused pretty much in how effective and is art in society, basically, in different ways.
yeah,
So it's a similar approach.
I see. But like, is it like a more like qualitative or quantitative?
But that's the thing because the questions were, like for instance, like questions that I remember that I was like, it's like, do you feel connection with installation, for instance? That kind of question. Do you feel
Okay,
a connection, a personal connection with installation? So the
but
question is very
they don't really mention what kind of connection.
no, exactly. It's not they
I
don't give
see.
you a 100%, 50%. It's just an open
Mm,
question,
I see.
and you interpret it and answer as you can.
Yeah. But then like, I don't know, like this is really like specific question, but like I always wonder, like, does there have to be the connection? Because this is like a tricky question, because if you want to, score really high with this question, then you can just have a Kinect visualization or something like that, like mocap, with the points moving the avatar. I mean, one of the pieces was actually like that, but then you can clearly see the connection between the visuals and the body for sure.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's a good piece.
No, that's what I think. One of the main aspects that I read in the paper in different ways is like in different ways they're talking about with different words, about
Mm,
functionality. How functional is the piece in regards to light
mm,
or in different ways. You know, one part was the video mapping, the other one was power relations, so
Mm,
hierarchies between the dancers and the technology,
right.
and yeah. So, but in any way, there's this functionality that I will say is more close. It's coming from design. Um, yeah. So this
Mm,
functionality that designs provide, you know, like the design as delivering a tool.
right. Yeah, this is like, I think, interesting point, like you said, the functionality, because yeah, like basically what's the functionality of a dance piece? And like in that sense, like what we do is really not functional, right? It's just like showing
Yes,
images and doing whatever. There's
but I
no
think
connection.
the interesting in what we do is like it's so we start without really knowing what is that, but in the
Mm,
research, like for instance, we have already papers that from our point of view we write
mm,
consciously about this aim to not be functional. You
right.
see, we are
Yeah.
we consciously know now that we don't want to make it functional or that we don't
Right.
want to make a final piece.
Yeah. I mean, functional in different ways. Like we're not trying to make it functional in a technological sense and also in from the dance perspective either.
Exactly.
Like
Like
it's
I was yeah, I would
that's
say
really
like for
funny.
instance like we're not trying to impress somebody or with the dance moves or with the images. So
Right.
from a aesthetical uh, point of view, it's not something that is aimed to be formally good.
Right. And we're not even achieving anything.
No, but we're happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's really nice point, I think, because we could also, hack this as well. Like, we can in the next performance, quote unquote, we can have a questionnaire that resembles this paper, and probably we will score really bad, and that's the achievement we make.
But I think this is something that it reminds me brings me back to the failing at Node
Mm,
because that I think that was like a milestone in our project because we were aiming for something good, I guess somehow. There were some
right,
expectations. And then right after we failed, in a way we were relieved of any pressure in terms of succeeding. We were like,
right,
we failed, this feels good actually.
right. Yeah, that was something. Because we had a kind of goal like with the Mozilla hubs, and we tried to make something, not maybe not impress people, but we wanted to make something during Node.
Something good. Yeah, we want to do
Yeah,
something good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's one thing. I wanted to say something about the paper because
Yes, me too.
I think there are like four pieces, and to be honest, like what I really remember is the one that didn't have clear connection between the dancer and the technology. I don't know if you have the PDF now, but
Yes, I have it
what,
here. In which part?
I don't know you can spot it, but there's one that has like a big monitor that like a TV on the stage, which shows like
Okay.
a visualization of like waveform. It's really simple. But basically, this is like a Siri or Alexa kind of thing that just talks to the dancer, and the dancer
Right.
on the performer on the stage, she talks back to it. I mean, it's all scripted, I think, but it's like a dialogue between this machine and the human, and she dances, and like that's already like something to remember, and also it really stood out because it completely failed. Like the program crashed at one point, like halfway, like after like 5 minutes it crashed, and the creator of the piece, like artist, she came to the stage and tried to fix it, and she
But
was
that's
like,
wonderful.
she was almost crying, like, but like I
That's
was like, you can just take time and try to do it, try to fix
but
it
I
or
think
just, yeah.
But I think that's the beauty of that. And in a way, we are trying to acknowledge, like when we see these dance pieces in the impulse dance, then
Mm,
often we came back to these discussions about like, yeah, but the error, the glitch was not acknowledged.
right.
And I think in technology, since it's so not reliable in so many ways, as we know, why find anything?
So
We
that's
can
why I have to work on the
rely.
weekend.
So yes, when you're robot.
Yeah.
But then I think to make the leap or the connection between the human error and the acknowledgement of the computer error, there is the. I think that's what I'm trying to say to highlight is that people, I get people who are not really, I guess, have an embodied practice, I guess, with computers, then will think that the computer will be perfect, or they will try to make something perfect that it works. So there is functional always. So there is this tension because if it's not working, the whole piece crashes. So I think I found, for instance, within the paper in different, I think it's connection between the dancers. I think they speak something about it,
Mm,
and also in the power uh, power relations. People speak in different ways about layers, about added layers,
mm,
also about meta information, which is basically uh, when in somehow there is not a direct functionality or direct connection that as a spectator you expect, let's say, that something is working,
right.
then this kind of glitch in the information give a space for other, it gives agency for other meanings to happen.
Right.
And that's what the people call or an added layer or a meta information.
Like for example,
um let me try to try
from
to
what we do or like what we saw.
so in what we do and in the paper, I think in the paper I can find something. Connection between dancers. So,
But I didn't really get the. I mean, I saw it on the paper about the connection between the dancers, but what does it really mean?
I mean, but I think what I'm trying to say is that where when the use of technology within the dance piece is somewhat not straightforward. I'm talking from the point of view of the viewer, of the audience. When the audience don't understand exactly that when the dancer moves the right arm, then the visuals do A or B.
Hmm.
When people don't understand exactly the functionality of technology in the choreography, that give agency for other
Right.
meanings to happen. And that's what
Right.
I'm trying to. And in the paper, there are some places where people were saying that as a positive, because
Mm.
basically, because as an audience, that you don't is we talk of this sometimes, like, and I said this to Kristen from iDoggy when I saw the dance piece that I told you that it was good.
Ah, yeah.
In the impulse dance, there was a dance piece that was with technology, um,
Which was
and
with
as a
Zoom.
one of the yeah, it was some like a kind of like a Zoom. It was something special.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to highlight in there is that um, as a criticism that I shared with Kristen, I said that in somehow it felt to me that sometimes it was like there were too much like the approach to the magician of
Hmm.
technology as to surprise you,
Right.
like this is the magic, but once you as an audience you understand the trick, it's boring after just few seconds.
Right. So you have to
That's what I'm
constantly surprise them if you want to go to that
exactly.
direction.
But
Yeah.
then it's just it's super difficult
Yeah.
because
That's what I felt with the piece with the lights. You know, this pink stage with pink lights.
yeah,
because that piece, like I felt like at first the lights were like so impressive. You know, this, I don't know if it's fluorescent or fluorescent light like LEDs, but it's so cool. But then I felt so insecure that like, is that the, you know, because they show it at the first, at the beginning of the piece, and is that the only thing that they can do, which was the case. You know, like, I mean, there are
Right.
some different patterns, but basically, you know, you see the magic and then you know it
Right.
for the rest of the
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something else that it was, from what I understood in this paper, that it was kind of a straightforward way to use visuals in the dance pieces, where and I can see myself also in the beginning when I was working, start working with technologies. This kind of aim to represent, or actually even not to represent, but just to literally kind of create another body, like an audiovisual body, I would say,
Mm,
uh, that it represents somehow the dancers, the dancer movement on the screen, or something through, or an avatar, or through straightforward some visual that somehow resemble a human, yeah, avatar,
mm.
a body, let's say.
But then, like, what is it? Because this is like, you know, it appears flat on the screen, and it's not the dancer.
Yeah.
So the viewer has to actively make a connection between them.
But I think what it makes it complicated is, like, I guess it could be interesting. Let's say if the dancer is not on the stage. Wait, because
Mm,
there's me trying to solve something that is not that about solving, but I think objectively what it happens is that if the dancer is competing with the technology, it's just like a lost war, or like,
mm,
is it, I remember at some point when I was in pop, I understood, like, I remember, I think I shared this with you at some point, when I have the smoke machines, lasers, LCDs, I have projection mapping on the church.
right.
And then I thought, I was talking with Mateus also, who was helping me with the sound. And it, for me, was like, I mean, how can I compete with all these lights and lasers and stuff? Like, what is the reason for the body to go there and
Mm,
compete in terms of attention with this? It's just,
yeah,
it's almost like a lost war before starting.
yeah.
So that's what I was mentioning in terms of the avatar. Like, I don't know, perhaps it's because as an audience, you have to constantly fight between the attention. What is more interesting? It's not,
Mm,
so in here, in the point, in the paper, they speak in the 4.35, they speak about added layers and multiple meanings. And it's, I guess it goes in that direction. Like, if the technology adds a new layer that possibility multiple meanings, then it's all good. But if it's just something that is trying to enhance, or I don't know,
mm,
make it more bombastic or spectacular, it's just, uh, it's like baroque somehow. It's like baroque is adding more and more and more and more, um, which I
mm,
think maybe which I think aesthetically could be good or bad depending of the decisions. But I don't think that's really interesting. I think what is more interesting, because in that from that point of view, is just basically the choreographer being good choreographer, or a bad choreographer, from me as Jorge, my perspective as an audience. So rather than for me to to uh, acknowledge you now to as good choreographer or bad choreographer, I would like to think more in what the piece gives to me. You see,
right.
like, not to think how good are you in taking aesthetic decisions.
Mm. Um, it's maybe, I don't know if it's not relevant, but when you said something about the, you know, like the, so basically dancers, if they compete with the technology, they can't win. Um, as you know, comparably small size. compared to
Yeah,
the lights or projection. But that only works. There's one case that works is when you have um, like if it's like a Lady Gaga or someone you want to see, like they do a concert in a huge stadium, and it still works because people want to see her on the stage, no matter what, like you can't really see her from probably most of the seats, but you still go there because you want to see her. But it's not the case with
yeah.
the dance piece. I mean,
No,
but that's
no,
something to
because I
think
think that
about.
yeah, because I think it's interesting what you're saying because the way how I see it is like you go to a concert that is using technology, so like Apex Twin, Twix is very good in doing these kind of things. And yeah, there are different bands who are doing really nice multimedia works in their
Yeah.
concerts. But then the thing is like once you go to the concert, you understand you're doing. You go there to see a concert. So your
Yeah.
brain is not challenging that. You know there's somebody's gonna sing.
Mm, right.
And then the whole lights and lasers and paraphernalia is just adding to that experience. But at the end, in short, it's just a concert, right? The thing is if you put it in the dance piece, but then the
Mm,
technology is overwhelming, like then your brain starts not knowing is this, you start questioning like,
mm.
is this dance? To mention Nanjupe, is this dance?
Maybe. Why not? That's what he wrote.
Why not?
Um, but yeah, that's something because the concert is not like you're not going there to judge. I mean, you would judge, but it's about the experience, you liked or not. But you wouldn't say, like you don't criticize in a way. Like it's more like going to a party.
Yes,
But the
yes,
dance
you
piece,
go there
like
for true.
and dance means you have to criticize somehow. I mean, I don't know, as an artist or choreographer, you cannot just see it and you would say, I liked those lights. You won't say that. I mean, you would say that, but it means a lot, like compared to
No,
what Lady Gaga or Rihanna had on the screen. Like that's very different. But the problem is that what people imagine immediately with this media, like LED screens or lasers or fog machine, that always goes back to this, huge stadium concert. And also, in fact, like some companies do both, like Moment Factory or, these huge companies, they do like huge concerts and also they do their own artworks, quote
yeah,
unquote.
like
And that's
like
that's where like yeah,
Marshmallow Laser Fist, these
exactly.
friends of us that we're gonna see new now in Essen in the coming weeks. By the way, yes, for reason like they do these huge installations for BMW, for like all these
Mm,
companies, but at the same time they have their artistic work.
yeah,
Um, but going
but
back to the concert thing,
that's
is
that's
that
a
what I was?
problem that things are kind of blurry, well, or like in like they're kind of mixed up, but people often forget that one side of the party you judge the experience, you liked or not, but with the artwork or dance piece you criticize as like, is it dance? And that's a huge
But I
difference.
think, yeah, but what I think is because I think is in terms of the way how I see it is I think it's about the, I won't even mention the medium to not get complicated, but it's a communication thing. So I think it's uh, and then communication goes between the person who emits the message and the one who receives the message. So in the concert, when you go there already, you know that you're gonna listen to some songs. So like the message is the song,
Mm.
that what you will
Mm.
receive before you go there, you understand what is what is your function as public there is to go and see a concert. And I'm repeating here, but I think it's because going to the concert is simple. Then you go to, as you said, to enjoy the concert. You
Mm.
already you know the songs, you know what to expect, even though the show might be bombastic. You
Mm.
know, it's about the music.
Mm.
While in dance, then I think if I'm interested when the dance just open the gates for other meanings to arrive, to give agency to the viewer, to not have a passive spectator, but rather to propose uh, places where the people can have their own meanings and interpretations and questions about their own lives. So,
Hmm.
it's not a passive entertainment. In that sense, I will say the concert is
Hmm.
passive. In that sense, I think a concert will be close to watch a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, totally. Hmm. Why are we talking about this? Because of the technology or
I think it's because of um, I think it's just in general about the technology. Um,
yeah.
Maybe just to recap in a way from the text how I see it is they mentioned I found interesting in the text when they start speaking about added layers and multiple meanings, which is
Hmm.
basically what I was just mentioning before. In different parts of the text, the people refer, for instance, just to mention, connection between the dancers or as our relation, the different interpretations of the text are in terms of like this works, this doesn't, because of this, and it's very clear. But in the part when they start talking about added layers and multiple meanings, it gets a bit confusing. In the text itself,
Hmm.
in what do you mean? But at the same time, uh, because it's quantitative, the text exposed the answers of the interviewed as this was positive because it was not clear, in short.
Hmm.
So like the purpose of the functionality of the technology were not clear, and because of that, there were other layers and multiple.
But so like what do we learn? Like, is it, I know this is a stupid argument, but is it better if we have more added layers? Is it better if things are more ambiguous?
Like if we speak, if we are talking about best practices now, huh?
I
I mean,
mean,
I speak from best practices, let's say, and
okay,
in
yeah.
relation to this that we are discussing, and then I'm thinking that um, is a I think we're achieving something because there are many added layers because we have not a clear purpose.
Hmm.
Um, because there's not a clear purpose without a choreography or structuring a piece, we are adding layers constantly and erasing and putting it in and on because there is not a piece. There is a practice. So one can say, going back to more like in an academic way, like I guess one can dissect a practice or find the best practices in a practice and then say like in terms of say add multiple layers or create this uh, positive thing that I see uh, within abstractions. Um, in an academic paper, I think one can dissect a practice and say like this works here, this could be better because of this, and basically dissect and see where are the functional abstractions in a way.
Hmm.
And
But
we might be interesting to do that.
but for us, like added layers is always like really random. Like
Yeah, because
most likely there's no connection between one layer with another, but people can see it. Or actually, that's not true. Like how we add things, either it's like a song or it's like a color or images. There is something. Like it's not like we
oh,
just find something completely random. But the one what I wanted to say is in the case of the paper, the performances, there are like something like connection like with the sensor, or maybe it's just with the cue of the choreography, but there are layers added, but they are a bit more, it's a bit clearer than how we add layers.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Because yeah, absolutely. That's the whole point. That's what I was mentioning: choreography and structuring. Because those are pieces, and they are pre-programmed. You can say that they're coded,
Mm,
and then after in the show they are running. But they are coded, and there is a thought to. There is a choreography. There is a clear structuring. In what we do is an improvisation. That's why we don't mention as a piece. It's more a framework, which is
right.
close to dance to improvisation than a
But
dance piece itself.
right. But to be honest, like when you were saying added layers, I was thinking like the layers we add is always so random. I mean, it is improvised, but in fact, we have some, like cause and effect in a way that
That,
something triggered me to, add some colors. It's not that I just roll a dice. I mean, that is also a cause actually. Um,
but it's
which we
I
could
think
also
it's
do. Yeah.
not that's because I don't agree with you. The way how I see it is that I will translate this into our concept like this. There is like added layers. We call these elements.
Yeah.
Now we
Yeah.
add elements, and grouping and ungrouping. That's the
Right.
difference, because if you start speaking about adding elements, then I think you can say like maybe we add layers, that's something we subtract layers, we erase all the layers. You
Mm,
see what I mean? If we want to speak in terms of like addition or like
mm,
mathematical terms. But I think in our concept building, the way how we speak about it is about elements and grouping and ungrouping these elements.
right.
And I think
It's
because there is a constant, we do this for more than 1 year every week. So and sometimes we get in the flow. Going back to early chats, we go into the flow. So
yeah,
once we get into this flow, there is a there is these connections that we can feel, but sometimes not.
yeah. So this is like something I think like, so not the layers, but let's say the elements, but specifically about like why this grouping or ungrouping, or yeah, like why it happened, like cause and effect. Either we do it in a way that like Danae is doing, like annotating videos, or
Mm.
what I think Julia Scher, one of the professors, she suggested, what about narrating the practice, the past practice. Um, these things are like, we talk about it all the time, and we haven't done it so much, or we haven't done it yet. And I think we should really go back to this idea, because that
I
also
think I
makes
think
it.
motion back will be super interesting in doing something like that.
Yeah. But the question is like, does it have to be functional or not, this process?
I think the process itself is trying to be functional. I mean, and there how to quantify uh, the functionality of it. That's the second step. But just the intention of
Mm,
try to uh, do that. That the intention itself is functional. I think.
yeah, right. And maybe that's where we start making the JSON file for us.
Exactly. That JSON file seems like a sweet spot.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
but
it's a huge database for us to access via JSON calls and APIs.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, this would be like, always interested. It's just that I feel like it's a lot to do, but maybe like something to think about it, like a bit low key way of annotating, so it's not like well, what Danaya does is really just crazy. Like she just watch all the
I mean,
videos and. but it
But
doesn't
to
have
be
to be
honest,
like
it's
that.
like
Yeah.
no, but it could. What I think is interesting is I have this conversation with this woman who was working with scenography in Berlin, and we were speaking about like the basically is that it will be super interesting that other person does it for us because then the political side of it is out, you know. Then we don't have to deal with the functionality of the quantities, and it's just giving that to somebody else to do it,
Mm.
and that will be just a beautiful thing because then we don't have to struggle because we have personal attachment to the practice. So that makes the whole thing a bit difficult when you try to work with science.
Yeah, that's why like in the email I wrote, like I think it's interesting if like a researcher interviews us. I mean, it can be myself as a researcher, but it needs some
Mm.
kind of separate. It has to be a separate
Hat.
entity, even if it's myself. I cannot just write
That
about my experience. I have to, understand. It's a bit. I mean, it's referring to a sandbox, obviously,
yeah.
and that I think that's. I mean, in a way, we already do it with the chat, but then I think
Mm.
the chat itself, if the chat itself has a methodology, a scientific methodology, let's say, whatever that means, then it becomes, I mean, I wouldn't say it's interesting, but we could present it into like to different people, like how we did it with IDOC-DE, but maybe in a more academic conference, and
Mm.
they might find it interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. But this is what I'm mentioning. This is going almost like backstage. But I think this is what I was mentioning to you when we were in Vienna, and then I mentioned we need to start thinking with different hats.
Yeah,
That's another hat. That's another hat.
yeah.
Uh, and then there's a publicity hat. I mean, just different ones. But ideally, let's say we have a huge production, then we just assign people to do these things. But
Mm,
we can do the effort to first. I think that's for me is basic. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. First is like to keep the sandbox as it is, include the chat. But then a part of that, then start using these hats and then just thinking more
mm,
outside of the practice, basically. So outside of the practice as a practice, but then I start seeing the practice as a then it's that's then this is ecology because then it's start thinking about the practice as a product within capitalism anyway, and then just then start entering in the ecology in that sense, like what is there actually that we want or we think that we can provide as yeah, and then just start speaking from that point of view, from the ecological point of view within capitalism.
mm.
But but anyway, I think the sandbox it should stay as it is because that's what it gives us the joy of doing this that we do.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's no question. It's just about like the hat or like who we work with.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm like I I'm gonna publish this video, but I would say openly. So maybe I just say that, if you're studying, I don't know, like human computer interaction or even like neuroscience,
you're,
and
you're
if you
making
want.
you're making I think you're making the open call a bit too micro niche. if you if you if you have a PhD within
Yeah.
neurolinguistics, astrophysics, and contemporary dance,
And contemporary
please
dance. Yeah,
contact us
people do, yeah, PhD in contemporary dance. So why
and
not?
then contact us. Otherwise, no.
No,
No, I
we
think
don't.
I will reframe it a different. I will say like if somebody's interested to do something for what we have, for the material that we have, and being or if somebody's interested to do something uh, uh, within or with the content, let's say that we have. We spoke of this in Vienna. So I think it's just if somebody would like to do something with the content that you can see uh, in YouTube and a part of that you see there is something in a specific framework that you would like to do, please contact Naoto, contact me. The I guess you can contact Naoto through Naoto's YouTube channel. Otherwise, we will put it Naoto email or my email in the comments under this video.
Or the best practices in at gmail.com, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. So can you repeat this email again? Because I don't
Yeah,
even know.
I'll write it down, but best practices in at gmail.com. That's our shared Gmail, so we can like either one of us can check and respond. Yeah, and this,
Wonderful.
yeah, like, or maybe we should have a form or something on the webpage.
We can think of this, but I think with this we can close the chat. I think
Yeah,
now I want to go to Lindo's Beach. That's my
yeah.
plan for today.
So
We
should
rent.
do you want to show the video again?
Yes, of course. We just rent an
Have the
cabrio
connection is
car.
okay. Oh, wow.
So
It's really
this is
sunny.
the lobby, but then we have a private pool. And so this is the social
Wow.
one, but we have a private one, and it's so nice. I really enjoy this time here with Eva, and this personal time. It's very needed for refreshing the world before going to the Ars Electronica
Oh,
and
wow.
stuff.
Yeah, and you now. But were
New now.
you were in Brussels for a few days, and how was the weather? Like, it's so cold here.
It
It's so
was
weird.
so bad. It was raining as fuck.
Oh,
Brussels was
okay.
horrible. It
Like
was
here
really bad. Like it was
it's okay, but it's really cold, like chill. Like a few days, like, I was freezing.
no, I know. And Brussels was horrible. It was so cold, like really bad. Like I mean, this kind of weather. Then when I took the plane, it was raining, and I was so happy because I knew in Greece it's gonna be 30 degrees. So, but yeah, I go back on Sunday. Go back Sunday late night. I go back, and then I will start working with Joe Kaimo for
Mm.
the project on Ars Electronica, the excitement research on. I think on Tuesday. I said on Monday, but I think I will take one day off to decompress, and then from Tuesday, and then on Saturday we have the barbecue for closing of seats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I will do some other chat. I mean, to talk with you. There's some interesting things. I was here. I went to the astronomy. There's an astronomy cafe here, a beautiful place. I went to the ancient Museum of Ancient Technology or Greek technology,
Okay.
and that was wonderful to see the thought, the thinking on technology before Christ. It was wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking
and
forward.
I bought a coding machine. I will show it to you, like ancient coding machine.
Okay, I need to see it.
Yes, yes. All right, bro. Then I leave you. I will leave. So
Yeah.
we can say goodbye
So
to everyone and close the
yeah,
video.
yeah.
Like the
So
video,
like the video, subscribe. There are a few
subscribe.
more subscribers these days. Thank you for that. And please write in the comment what? I don't know. Last time we
If you
asked for
want to
goodies.
collaborate,
If you want
if
to
you like
collaborate.
to,
That's
yeah,
really
yes,
specific.
yes.
What
We were,
do you want us to do next time? Like write academic paper? No, that's kind of boring, but do a
now to
practice
does
in
a
Greece.
striptease. No, no, not yes. We do a practice in Greece in the astronomical cafe. That will be
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. Where do we want
Uh,
to do the practice? That's the comment. Please write.
oh yes, that will be good. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Where do you want the practice to be? All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Who was the like? Thank you to the person who was commenting the last time.
I have a
I hope you
magazine.
enjoyed the magazine. Also, if you have some comments, that would be nice to hear your feedback on the text because those are text. Uh,
Yeah.
okay. Ciao,
Thanks.
Naoto. We keep in touch.
See you next time.